Hideaway was one of the biggest breakout hits of 2014, alongside its artist Kiesza. With a deep house beat, insanely catchy and memorable melodies, and a video just as recognizable as the song itself, it seemed as if Hideaway would be at least the first of a string of hits for Canadian artist Kiesza. However, that never happened, and Kiesza ended up basically becoming a one-hit wonder, despite releasing an album to coincide with the song. While Hideaway was Kiesza's breakout hit, she had actually been putting out music professionally for the better part of a decade prior, releasing a self-titled album in 2008. The album was sonically nothing like Hideaway, favoring a pop-rock sound very popular at the time, sort of similar to what Sarah Bareilles was releasing back then. However, once she began working with producer Rami Samir Afuni, her sound shifted to a more electronic, up-tempo sound. In late 2013, Hideaway hit the internet, but it wasn't until February 2014 when Kiesza released the video that the song really blew up. Shot in one continuous take, the video showed Kiesza and a fleet of dancers performing the song in Brooklyn, basically going viral. Collectively, the video has over 700 million views as of early 2024. Additionally, the song has over 300 million streams on Spotify. During early 2014, Kiesza struck a deal with Island Records, where she would remain quasi-independent until Hideaway hit #1 on the UK singles chart, which it did in April of that year, bolstered by BBC Radio's Annie Mac's backing of the song on her show. Hideaway was also inescapable in the United States during summer of 2014, despite only reaching a peak of 51 in September, her only entry on the Billboard Hot 100. In August, Kiesza released her second follow-up single following Hideaway, Giant in My Heart. Even more than Hideaway, Giant in My Heart really dived deep into the 90s house production, cementing Kiesza's sound. And while it hit #4 on the UK chart, it really didn't make an impact in the USA. And its impact in general was noticeably smaller than Hideaway. Later singles came and went with no noise, and her debut album Sign of a Woman basically came and went as well. Critics were pretty lukewarm to her debut album, and the album quickly disappeared from its modest position on the charts. She also experienced some label troubles. Kiesza was signed to Island under a 2-album, 1-EP contract. However, she states that once her subsequent singles post-Hideaway failed to glean the same success, she quickly found herself caught in a situation where her label wasn't receptive to her inquiries and ideas, keeping her in limbo. Kiesza says that her label wouldn't market her singles she had chosen. "I had to constantly annoy the label to let me go," she told an interviewer. "I had my lawyers send them a message every day." She said the label would not release her because they were still profiting from Hideaway. While she earned just 15% of the profits from her masters, out of which she had to pay her producers. "Everybody says that it's the standard deal. In my view, it's criminal," she said. Additionally, in 2015, she lost a very close friend, which in turn made her delay her album. And then in July of 2017, Kiesza was riding in the back seat of an Uber when it was T-boned by another car in downtown Toronto, leaving her with a traumatic brain injury, putting a complete halt to her career at the time. The accident caused her to lose balance on the left side of her body for a time, and she had various other symptoms as well. For a year and a half, Kiesza's symptoms only worsened, before plateauing and eventually starting to get better. Kiesza said in an interview with the New Statesman that post-crash, she was able to get out of her contract with Island, but that it was actually the best thing that happened to her. Despite the car crash and the lingering effects on her life, Kiesza's passion for music hasn't slowed down one bit. In 2020, she released her follow-up to Sound of a Woman titled Crave. And in 2023, she moved to Norway, and despite teasing multiple follow-ups to Crave, she hasn't released another album yet. I think at the end of the day, Kiesza isn't really meant to be a mainstream artist. She's a bit too experimental with the genres she releases. And I think her breakout identity as a dance artist taking inspiration from 90s house seemed more sticky to people rather than a true artistic identity. And it's a sound that Kiesza has never really returned to since 2014. And while Kiesza's vocals may not be everybody's liking, it's undeniable that the girl can sing. And following intensive recovery from the car crash, she has been dancing again and incorporating choreography back into her shows and performances.